13 personnel, one back, three tight ends in the game. It really wasn't that long ago that you'd see this in virtually every game plan every week in the NFL. Somewhere along the line, everybody decided, hey, it makes more sense to go small, spread them out. Well, here we are. 13 is back. Heavy sets are back. Old school is new school, and it's all the rage. I'm Andrew Weidinger. I was a member of coaching staffs in the NFL for 11 seasons. In this video, we're going to take a look at the Rams using 13 personnel against the Seahawks in that NFC Championship game. The first three clips we're going to look at, they're going to be in 13 personnel, but running traditional 11 personnel looks, extended splits. So here, all three tight ends to the field. They're running follow, a post on the inside, a 5 and in the slot, and a 5 and in on the outside. You'll see they're going to shake this guy in the slot. They're going to stutter the guy on the outside just to slow them down. They really want to hit Chevy here on the weak side. Chevy, a third outside step in breaking route, like a deeper slant by Davante Adams. Back coming out of the backfield, he has a stick. Stick and hook up against zone, run away against man. And they get 5-man rush, cover one, and Chevy is a dedicated 5-man rush, cover one beater. They hit Adams and get the big explosive gain. Let's take it back to the top. We'll take a look first at the defense. So here they set the nose to the same side as the running back, and they're going to loop the nose over the center's face on the snap, and that's going to create a gap in between the center and the guard and tackle. Two gaps on that side. They're going to blitz one with this linebacker, and this backer is responsible for the running back in man coverage. Now, if the back steps up and picks up this backer on the blitz, then he will add in and become another blitzer. So they've got blitzers in both of those gaps. But in this case, the back is going to free release to the outside. They're going to swap responsibilities. This backer will take the back, and the lone blitzer will come from that linebacker spot. So let's take a look at that Chevy side now. We're going to start with the running back, and he does a great job as he's pushing out of the backfield, gets collision by 42, but takes one big step past his body right there before he breaks that thing out, allowing himself to generate some space away from the defender. A lot of guys will break that the moment they get collision. Very important to take that one extra step, forces the defender to open his hips so that you can run away. And now let's take a look. Adams on the outside. A little bit of a wider split than you traditionally have on a glance route. Typically outside edge, inside edge. The Rams like to run it from this wider split. The reason teams run it further inside is because the wider you get, the closer that sideline gets, and that DB knows that's where his help is, on that sideline. That sideline never misses a tackle. DBs start to cheat further inside, get heavier inside, the wider your splits get. So right here, Adams, the master of establishing leverage, pushes into this guy body, gets to his inside half, lifts him vertical. You'll see him get the DB off balance at the break point, set a great winning angle as the DB's on the ground. Great job digging that ball out. Big catch and run. Next two clips, we're going to take a look at them putting Puka Nacua in the backfield. And he swaps spots with the running back out wide, still have their three tight ends in the game for 13. And if you remember, just 2 weeks earlier against the Panthers, put Nacua in the backfield in the red zone here. He runs the seam route. Panthers in a one-high match zone, so this safety staying on that field hash. This safety coming down has to carry Nacua vertical out of the backfield. Now, this isn't 13 personnel, but you know that the Seahawks have seen Nacua lined up in the backfield and have a plan for it. And that answer is going to be to play one high man coverage, man, and a double here on Nacua. Outside leverage by that linebacker spot, inside leverage by the safety, and they've got a low hole player. Hole player, not responsible for anybody in man, but a help defender. Everybody trying to funnel their routes down to the help. Now they're going to motion Nacua out, and he's going to run a choice route. He's going to push up 5 yards. He can hook in, or run out based on coverage. Outside of him, we've got a bench route going to stem down into the alley, fourth inside step, out-breaking route. But that's his route. His job is far more important than his route, and his job is to affect this guy in the alley. And you'll see right here, tight end going to get a great rub on that outside hip of that linebacker. With that linebacker responsible for the outside of Nacua, there's going to end up being nobody there because of the assist the tight end gets, so Nacua is going to run the outbreaker. Over the top of that, they've got deep cross, going to get a chip to slow down the rush, and a return route by this tight end, which is a typical check down that you like when you're running choice. And on the outside, typically you've got a 15-yard in, but with the running back out here, they're just going to put him on a one-step look. Now, the ball will never go out there, but you don't tell the running back that. You get him on that one-step look, conserve some energy, don't trust him to run a 15-yard in. Back's all jacked, like, oh, he's going to throw me this look, I'm going to make a dude miss, I'm going to go score. The reality is, quarterback room, they're saying, hey, the back's not even part of this play. Don't even look at him. Just work your progression, ready to check down to that tight end if it's not open. So let's take a look here. This tight end, as he rubs this hip, going to free Nacua up for the outbreaker. Awesome job. Great assist. 5-yard gain turns into a 9-yard gain in a hurry. Fourth quarter now, Rams come right back to the same look, and take a look at this defensive end right here. He's saying, hey, he's lined up in the backfield again. What the hell we say we were going to do? And they're saying, hey, you got to chuck him on his way out. So we're going to get the same play by the offense, but as Nacua comes out, defensive end going to chuck him and put hands on him before he heads to the quarterback. The goal being slow down the primary route out of the backfield, help your coverage element. Well, right here, he jacks Nacua one, ends up forcing Nacua into this inside break. The linebacker has played over the top in man, safety too deep. Now all they have to worry about is this low hole help player, and that is the quarterback's responsibility. Anytime a choice route breaks inside, that means this guy's trying to beat the guy over him, and if he feels like that's where he needs to go to do that, then the quarterback needs to manage any help players on the inside. Right there, Stafford rifles that thing in. They get their 4 or 5 yards, choice route out of the backfield. Now let's take a look at some more traditional 13 personnel sets. So here they've got all 3 tight ends together, going to motion a guy across. They're going to run weak side, inside zone with that tight end wrapping back, 5-yard gain there. And something the Rams love to do is run the same play out of different sets. And so instead of starting the tight end there and motioning him across, they're going to start the tight end here and put him on a little short motion to the inside. Again, weak side, inside zone with a wrap. Now, neither of these plays particularly exciting, both efficient runs, but both of these going to marry up with the play action pass game. So here we'll take a quick look on this inside zone wrap. We've got that short motion. Tackle responsible for the end. These 2 zoning to 3. These 2 zoning to 13. These 2 zoning up. Somebody's got to show up in this gap on the inside. Somebody's in that C gap. They're going to zone up to whoever gets there. Now you'll see 99 here. He ends up winning to the inside. The guy they want to wrap and get all the way around that zone devil. He's going to say, color in the hole. I'm going to hit it. Let's get this play started. We can't get everybody blocked. It's on the back now. Happens all the time in the NFL. So that gets us to the fun part. So the same set right here. They're going to, again, short motion this tight end down. It's going to look like inside zone wrap, but they're really running wide pass. And they're going to leave a tight end in on the backside. The line is going to gap in this direction to the right with low hats to sell the run. They're going to run a 3-level route, a pylon route on that side, a deep cross coming from the tight end, back, selling the run fake, getting a chip, and heading to the flat. We'll let it play out, and then we'll talk through the routes. So you'll see right here, tight end, great job getting across the field. Great touch by Stafford. Big explosive gain. Okay, so back to the top. And we're going to start with this pylon route. And this is about as good a pylon route as you'll ever see against man coverage. Typically at its best against true cloud. You've got a low corner, a high safety. You can get up on his toes and then try to beat him out there to the perimeter. This is 3 under, 3 deep coverage. Plays out like man between that corner and receiver. Sells him down into the alley. Doesn't allow him to friction him and take away his speed. Opens the hole for the tight end on the deep crosser. Now this tight end right here, too much drift. Does a good job pushing vertical. Whoever's going to match you across the field, you want to keep their hips open for as long as possible before you take it across the field. If you just start going right now and you don't have them beat with speed, it gives them an angle of recovery to undercut you. And that's exactly what's going to happen right here. Take a look at 29. As this route goes across the field, you'll see the tight end taking this higher angle, and 29 is going to undercut it. And he can absolutely make a play on this ball, but watch his eyes right there. He's taking them off his man. This is matched up. It's man down the field. Your eyes have to stay on your man. Eye violation. Back to the quarterback. Doesn't feel the tight end drifting further away from him. That's a play that should have been made by the defense, but turns into an explosive for the offense. Last guy we're going to look at here, the running back. Take a look at this devastating chip. Sells the run fake. He's chipping anything that shows up outside the tackle. Drops that dude, heads to the flat. Very unfair for defensive linemen. Anytime they're getting chipped, they're engaged with one guy and then getting blasted by another. Nice job by the back. Good execution by the Rams. That probably could have been stopped, though. Another play action pass from the same set here, this time situationally, 3rd and 1. We're going to get the short motion by the tight end. He's going to come back, protect the weak side edge on this strong side play action. 87, part of the blocking scheme, everybody zoning or gapping to the right, and this is kind of like what some teams call line pass. Parkinson coming across the field here, Nacua in this man coverage trying to take his man and run right at the safety, kind of an all or nothing schemed up game plan play, has a chance. This was a big drop. 7 gets in there, kind of affects the tight end's view on the ball. But you can see how the formations marry up and help draw the defense down. If you're running out of those sets, passing out of them becomes easier. One more look here off of that 2x2 set, play action pass. You'll see no tight end in motion, but they're going to run a 3-level route. Bow out here, tight end, the bow out runner. Some teams will call it sail. Again, that wide pass action, back chipping, heading to the flat. The Seahawks played a lot of single high end quarters in this game. Here they play cloud, force the check down. Check downs can be extremely efficient. It's not as sexy. It's not as fun. You're not throwing the ball down the field, but you're getting it to a guy who actually has space to operate. And in the NFL, getting it to your playmakers in space is fun to say, but it's kind of a misnomer. There really is no space in the NFL. It's extremely rare that a guy catches a ball and doesn't have somebody in his face right now. So you'll see this cloud corner right here, takes a stand at 5, disrupts the receiver, and then exits and takes away that bow out. And then that post route is running right to this half-field safety. Stafford, no option other than to throw it down to the back. And as we just saw, catch, run, making guys miss. When I was with the Falcons and Bucks playing against Drew Brees in the NFC South, if he went play action, you knew you were in trouble because he was either going to hit somebody open down the field or he's going to check it down and they were going to run forever. All right, protection-wise, they're going to sell that weak side zone, marrying up with that zone wrap that we saw. Tight end is leaving. Tackle responsible for the defensive end, outside help from the running back before he heads to the flat. These two gapping in this direction with eyes to 42. These two gapping in this direction, eyes to 13. Tight ends responsible for 0 and 3. And if 3 backs off, then this tight end becomes a help guy on the defensive end, and you can see right here, good thing that he is a help guy. These defensive ends are absolute studs. Again, tight ends, hybrid type guys. Lawrence taking Parkinson for a little ride right here. He's holding on for dear life. Good thing he's got the help. Great job by Stafford checking it down, and even better job by the back turning it into an explosive. Here they come to the line, starting in that 2x2, but you'll see Stafford tapping his helmet. And my take is they're checking. They had that weak side zone called again, but if you recall, on those last 2 reps, they had a nose tackle shaded in the direction they were going. Well, now they've got a 3 technique. Instead of a shade of the center, he's now an outside shade of this guard. And the play itself, a whole lot harder to run at a 3 technique than it is at a nose. So they're checking. They're saying, hey, we're not going to go with the weak side run. We're going to go to the strong side run. They bring Nacua across. He's responsible for MDM on that side, corner or safety. Great job on the interior, bubbling that thing, and the Rams running backs running hard. So as he comes across, Nacua going to come up. He's got number 8. The wing tight end, he's zoning to 3. The first uncovered lineman play side, starting the double. That would be this tackle right here. They're going to zone up to 13. These two going to single up to 42. And on the backside, they can be this thing and work vertically to whoever's going to show up. Tight end responsible for cutting out number 7. Good job here. Pushes out to the perimeter. Great job making a man miss in the hole, running hard. There you go, strong side zone off the check from weak side zone. 2 more reps in the video, both situational plays. This is a 3rd and 1. Tight end coming across to make the 3x1, and they're going to run duo, and they convert. From behind, motion man responsible for the Sam linebacker spot. These two going to double up to 13. Down, back. They're actually going to ace this up to number 20 right here. Tackle responsible for the defensive end, and the tight end responsible for this overhang linebacker. And you'll see the center leaves probably just a little bit too early, allowing penetration to happen at this nose spot. Now that the center even makes it through with these 2 big bodies right in his way is impressive all its own, but probably needs to linger on this block a little bit longer, allow that guard to get on him. You can see guard holding on for dear life, back trying to press it downhill. It's got color in his face, has to bounce, and then take a look at the gap that he makes it through. Those things close in such a hurry. Running backs in the NFL, some of the absolute best reactionary athletes on the planet. Last rep we're going to look at down here on the goal line, third tight end, split out here in the stack with Davante Adams. Looks like they're running duo to the right, and they've got a route combination here, what's called a pile route, what I believe is called a pile route. I've never been in a system that ran these with a return route out and back in. And Stafford's going to look out there and he's going to say, hey, I got 2 over 2 man coverage, extremely difficult to guard Davante Adams in one-on-one man. And so that's where Adams racked up a lot of his touchdowns this year, down here in the goal line, teams forced into man coverage in the low red zone. There's not a lot you can do down there, and the Rams exploiting it. Now, this is a run or a pass, right? But in my opinion, the term run-pass option is reserved for post-snap reads. And I've heard people call them this or that. So you're either going to run this or you're going to throw that. In this case, Stafford recognizes the numbers and elects he's going to throw it. And you'll see this duo to the right. They turn the defensive end loose. Would have been an absolute blow-up. But good thing they're throwing the ball. Adams, that pile route, it looks like it's going to be a flag route, and then they break it off, bring it back friendly to the middle of the end zone. Touchdown, nicely executed there between Adams and Stafford. That's our look at the Rams using 13 personnel in that NFC Championship game. If you liked the video, do me a favor, hit subscribe, hit the like button. As much as I love listening to myself talk, I love money even more. As of right now, I'm making these videos for free. If you hit those buttons, hopefully one day YouTube will give me a couple of bucks. That's all I can ask for. Thanks a lot.